So this meeting is being recorded by committee chairs. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. I do believe we have someone from the recorder here, so I'm assuming that they are recording. Is there anyone else? All right, I will take that as a no. Can we get a roll call, please?
Certainly. President Gilmore,
Present.
Vice President Gwynn,
Here.
Councilor Disorder,
Present.
Councilor Mayo,
Here.
Councilor Forgy.
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you. All right, so I'm looking at President's notes. We have the mayor's appointments and reappointments, which are going to go to A&O.
President Gilmore?
Yes.
Correct.
Am I jumping ahead?
No. I can either say this now or say this under clerk's notes, whichever you prefer.
Go ahead.
Okay. We received some additional reappointments from the mayor yesterday afternoon. Tammy sent them out to the council today. It was after the 5-day rule. We would like to be able, we're asking for your allowance to have these go to A&O this month to be considered in January.
I'm fine with that as long as Vice President Gwynn is also fine with that, because he's going to continue to chair at least for this month. So as long as there are no objections.
I see none, Kathy, as long as we're in compliance.
We are. Thank you.
And I do believe those ones should be taken up individually, because I saw that at least one counselor has brought up a concern that we probably want to discuss in the committee.
Are you talking about the appointments that are on the agenda currently, or all of the appointments?
This is one of the newer appointments.
Okay. I will make a note of that.
Councilor Forgy, did you have your hand up?
Yes, just a point of order, if I could, Madam President. I believe that when we discussed the appointment process, if someone had an objection to a candidate, that that would not be discussed in committee, but rather it would return back to the mayor. Am I correct on this? Because we don't want to talk about, oh gosh, cast aspersions on a person's reputation or character or anything like that in a public venue. If there was an objection, we thought perhaps, I think the council agreed last time, that it would go back to the mayor with the reasons why. And I don't know if it should run through appointments and ordinances or just go back to the mayor. I just want to clarify that we're not talking about people in public.
Right, of course. And actually, the person who brought this up, it wasn't something that we're not talking about libel. What and I should clarify, I'm not saying that we would, spend this time discussing it in a committee. I'm saying that the motion needs to be separated out, because past practice has been that we would approve all of them as one motion, but this one needs to be separated as separate motions so that one can be sent back to the mayor with those questions and concerns.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm unclear.
President,
I'm nervous. This is my first time, guys.
Hey, you're doing fine.
You're doing. President Gilmore, can I just add to that from A&O?
Yes, please.
Councilor Ford, you was on the right track. The procedure would be anyone that had a question about any appointment would contact the chair, and the chair would then bring that back to the mayor or to the appointing body and get clarification. And then that information would be brought back to the committee or to the individual to see if it warranted a further question without a problem. So if there was just a question or whatever, it was done so it wasn't all brought up at the confirmation meeting. So
Okay, great.
I received an email as the acting A&O chair, and I will address it following that procedure.
All right, great. All right, are we ready to move on to the next item? All right, so next I see approval of the memorandum of understanding between the City of Greenfield and the Greenfield Fire and Police Signal Operators Association. Would this go to Ways and Means
Yes.
since it's financial?
Correct.
All right. Okay, and then the next one is an appropriation, so that clearly would go to Ways and Means unless there are objections.
President Gilmore,
Yes.
I think the MOU for the police and fire signal operators is non-financial, but union contracts do generally go to Ways and Means, but I don't think that has a financial aspect to it.
So if it's a union, I mean, I know it's not a contract, it's an MOU.
Right.
If it's union related and not financial,
Yeah.
I suppose it could go to CRE. It just seems like since the most of the union agreements are financial and go through Ways and Means, it seems more consistent that way. But I'm open to suggestions.
I would agree with you. Councilor Ford, you might have it, but I would agree that precedent would say that it would go to Ways and Means.
Ways and Means.
I would agree with that. Whether it lists a dollar amount or anything like that is, it can also list a change of working conditions that might have a financial impact. So it might not be, we need to raise money. It might just be, we're changing this and it has a financial impact. So I would say yes, it belongs here, it's appropriate.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next one, so the appropriation of 221,000, that would obviously go to Ways and Means.
Mhm.
And then there's a proposed zoning amendment. And zoning amendments typically go to EDC. Is this going to be any different?
I would see no reason.
Follow the standard procedure for zoning amendments under 40A.
All right. All right, and then EDC.
President Gilmore, Councilor DeSorger.
Yes. Sorry, I'm trying to bounce between. Go ahead.
So that will need, that zoning amendment will need a joint public hearing, which it probably won't be on the January. Well, I'm not trying to speak for anyone, but with the proper notification, Clerk Scott, I think it goes to us, but we probably won't be taking it up this month, correct? Because it would be
The
joint.
timeline, right. It usually is a joint meeting between Planning Board and EDC, and it does require publication timeline.
Mhm.
It would more than likely be the public hearing would be at the very earliest in February sometime. Tammy will communicate with Eric in the planning department, and they usually look at the meeting schedules of both committees and plan from there.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, does that mean that we do want it on the January agenda or are we just going to say it's being added to the February agenda?
No,
President Gilmore, may I?
Yes.
The process recently has been that there would be a first reading of sorts on the January council agenda under new business, but it wouldn't necessarily go on the EDC agenda until sometime in February when the public hearing was held.
Okay. All right. So
President-
that part, yes.
President Gilmore, just keep in mind that you can send things to any committee that don't need to be acted on upon a specific date at any time anything comes to you. So you can send it out and it doesn't have to have an action. It just goes to that committee. So, which then they can determine when they want to bring it out or put it up or work with you and the clerk.
Okay. Yeah, and I know that zoning is really touchy as far as the time frame goes. So I don't want to set us up for failure, especially with turnover, the way we're gonna have some turnover. So
Yeah.
all right. So EDC, the regular meeting is going to be January 11th at 6. For January, I want to actually I need to look and see how this is going to work out. I want to keep the committees the same for January and then start with the new committees in February. But I need to double check my list to make sure that we'll have a quorum on every single committee, just in case. I think we would be fine, but I haven't verified that. So it looks like what we already have on the agenda is going to be declare real estate located at 294, 296 Federal Street, units located in 298 Federal Street building as surplus property. Okay, so that's ongoing. And also the sale of that property. So that's staying on the agenda for now. And then Councilor DeSorger, did you want to add?
Yes, that's perfect. So it will be next Tuesday at 6, but I do have several people that I wanted to invite to that meeting. And I can send this to you, Kathy, but I just wanted to say it out loud. Jennifer Hoffman from the Board of Health, Glenn Ayers, Lyons Wittens, who's an LSP and hydrologist with OHI Engineering, Bruce Nicholson, the LSP for the licensed site professional for OTO. I think probably the city lawyer who's made a ruling on this. Travis Drury, who's the chair of the Conservation Commission, and then Marlo Warner, who's online with us. I have the questions. Marlo, just to give Marlo a heads up and save me an email, would be concerning the engineering the engineering proposals that Nick Reitzel put in place for the containment of the water, etc., from the Lunt property. I have copies of it, but how it's being handled. So I think that's it. And I can give you Lyon's email, and I don't know if that's all we need. If Bruce Nicholson is not available, we'd need Eric Tora.
So who would you want from the city of where?
Okay, so from the city, we need, I'm going to put them in this order. Jennifer Hoffman's from the city, Glenn Ayers.
Oh, no, I thought you said someone from where?
Someone, oh, I can give you the email I said. I can give you, no, I didn't say that. Not someone from.
Did I misunderstand what you said?
Lyons Witten is a licensed site professional from OHI Engineering. I want to invite him. He's a hydrologist and an LSP. And Bruce Nicholson is the LSP from OTO, O'Reilly, Talbot, and Orkin, who is the city's LSP. I want both of them. And the lawyer, our city lawyer, Travis Drury, who's the head of the Conservation Commission, and Marlo Warner. And while Marlo so nicely signed in this evening, I can speak to you, Marlo, tomorrow. I just had questions about the containment of the water, the way that Nick Reitzel had explicitly wanted it.
Yeah, if you could, Ginny, anytime after 11 tomorrow, I have appointments.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yes, Clerk Scott.
Counselor Disorder, you said, I think, that you would send that list to us through email.
Yes,
And can you also send us any contact information you have for the
absolutely.
people that you listed? Thank you so much.
That I was starting to type them slowly as the meeting started. You know how good my typing is, Kathy.
Okay, I'm glad I clarified that. I have no idea where I got where from that, but okay, let's see. So those two items are sort of coupled on the agenda in addition to the zoning, which is going to be taken up later. So that should be all set, correct? Is there anything I'm missing for EDC? All right. So moving on to A&O. Wednesday, January 12th at 5:30. We have the mayor's appointments. We're going to also add the ones that came in a little bit late. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope, that's correct.
So then there's a status update, ordinance to prohibit the use of non-emergency unmuffled compression release engine brakes on Deerfield Mill and River Streets and Bernerston Road. That's not being taken up in January, correct?
Correct. And just to follow up on that, Kathy, we have, I had a conversation with Director Warner on that, but I have not heard from Public Safety yet on their opinion on that piece. And I can't move forward until we know, is there any way to enforce that? And that's where we have to continue that conversation. So it doesn't need to be on the agenda because there won't be any status update if we don't get that.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and move that back to February.
Okay.
I think the A&O has plenty of other topics to fill up their time that night.
So we'll follow up
Because then,
and put it on February. Thank you.
great. And then the charter amendments, we've got several sections from Article 6 and then several from Article 7. And then I do believe after those are taken up, that would conclude the charter review process, at least from the A&O perspective, correct?
Yeah, and remember, we have to list anything that has not been brought up yet. Does not mean we will get to all of that in a single meeting because it will not happen. We probably will not get through 6 yet. 6 is going to be, there's some big pieces. Public Safety Commission is going to take up, I would imagine, a majority of a meeting. And then a central maintenance has to be discussed again. So, I mean, there are pieces, but we have to list anything we have not yet talked about because we can't even bring it up if we want to, if it's not on the agenda. So I would say that that is correct. We're going to have Article 6 and 7, but it will go into probably another meeting or two, just to give everyone a heads up. I know we have a group of the public that wants to discuss 7. I would almost guarantee that 7 won't be brought to the table at that meeting because we're going to have a lot of work on 6, but I would like it on the agenda in case we have pieces of it that come up.
Perfect. Yes, Clerk Scott.
Sorry, I keep interjecting. There's one section that you, Councilor Gwynn, the A&O had asked for a legal opinion on section 2(8), officers elected by the city council.
Yes.
I had sent out that opinion, I think it was before Christmas.
Yeah,
Do
it
you
was.
want that section to be listed on the A&O agenda for this coming month?
Definitely. Because we're going to talk about the opinion anyways, to push us in the right direction. And you are correct. We cannot talk about it if it's not listed.
Yes, thank you. All right. Well, it's nice to see a light at the end of the tunnel. We've been working on this for a very long time.
And some of you longer than others. So yes.
Right.
Right. All right. So that should do it for A&O, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so community relations and education will be meeting on January 17th. Oh, that's a holiday.
Yeah, that's MLK Day.
So I'm wondering, I don't see anything
And there's
listed on the agenda.
there's no agenda. So at this point, uh, we can basically cancel that meeting.
Okay,
Because
yeah, we'll observe the holiday and we don't have to worry about rescheduling.
we'll just
I
go
will
on
bring
to
your,
the schedule for February.
Okay,
and that'll bring a
perfect.
and that'll bring your new committee together for
Right.
the February meeting, which might work out well.
Just as well.
Right. Okay. Ways and means, we talked about a few things we're going to add, and then I see a review and discussion on split tax rates.
Yeah, I have asked that be an agenda item on all of the Ways and Means agenda. But we heard last year from our finance director, Liz Gilman, that if you're going to discuss split tax rate, you really have to have a 12-month review of all the parts and pieces. So I want to keep that, but I also want to invite to this meeting, if I can, Assessor Rigeri, Assessor Geisman, and Harold from RRG. Also, if there is, and I know there is a person in the office, I don't know her name, but she should be invited to the meeting as well.
That would be Sandra. Pardon me for interjecting. Sandra Godoya.
Okay. So that's it. Actually, I did not put anything up for discussion for in December for this meeting.
Okay, so we're going to keep that as a standing item on the agenda.
Yes, please. And then the other things that you mentioned, the money issues and the contract issues, we'll bring those up as well.
Great.
President Gilmore, can we take a step back? Because my other chairs have done this so eloquently and I have not. I didn't invite anyone to my meeting.
Oh, do you want to invite folks?
Yes. Chair DeSorger and 4G were right on top of it. And I was like, somewhere else. Looking at the A&O agenda, obviously I would like to invite David Singer to this meeting. And then Councillor 4G, remind me, we finished the assessors portion at the last meeting, correct?
Correct.
That is right. Are we looking at starting a public safety commission?
Yes.
Do we need any of our public safety people invited, or are we ahead of ourselves?
Well, since it's a public meeting, I would encourage public safety. I mean, it would be good.
Yeah.
They weighed in, but just a cursory weigh in on the whole issue. And it might be helpful if they were there to participate in the discussion.
Yeah. So, Clerk Scott, I would think both of our chiefs be invited. Would that be good at this point? Councilor 4G also in that discussion, or do we need someone from the board?
Yes, I
Okay.
think it would also be important to have a representative from the board, whoever Public Safety Committee chooses. I think it would be important for them to be there.
So Clerk Scott, yeah, Public Safety Commission, I think would be good representation, and then our chiefs and go from there. Now, I'm not sure that how long that will take or not. Department of Central Maintenance, obviously that's very limited, if I remember, because we've already made changes there since that change happened. Do you recall, Chris, on that one?
Yeah, I'm a bit, if this is okay with, if this is okay with Madam President, this discussion.
No,
Um,
please do.
Okay, thank you. I'm a little bit miffed as to why it's back. I'm thinking that the issue was that central maintenance has gone away. Council had already in the last budget, our last fiscal budget year, it was absorbed into a department of DPW. Maybe Director Warner could refresh our memories, but I'm not sure why we would address that again.
So why don't we do this? Let's invite Director Warner, and maybe in the meantime, I'll take a look at that piece and see why it is there, and we could start with that at the meeting, and then if it's just procedural, we might be able to dismiss it and move forward. So let's go there. I would think that would end my invitations.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I remember the discussion, which, you know, was so long ago, if I remember correctly, the reason we brought it up in the first place is because there was that reorg and we wanted the charter to reflect the reality.
I believe you are correct, and I don't have that in front of me. I wasn't. So yeah, let's move forward with that. And I think you are correct. All we're doing is putting the process that we're following in line with the charter. I do believe that that's what this does. But if Director Warner's invited, and then he's great just as an asset to be able to steer us in the right direction.
Right.
A follow-up,
Okay.
please, if I may.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. This is to Councillor Gwynn. I know you've got a lot of appointments and reappointments, but perhaps you should reiterate the open invitation that stands to all the candidates that are up for appointment and reappointment to join the meeting, to get for people to, you know, meet them and for them to talk about themselves a little bit.
Sure. I think, thank you, Councilor Forgy. I think, Clerk Scott, it's always good to tell people they'll be considered on that evening, you know, by A&O. And if they would like to, it's not a requirement. That has changed, and that might be a discussion for this year. But if they would like to talk to A&O, you could tell, you know, them that evening will be discussed.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Forgy and President Gilmore. Thank you for that piece, because I was wanting to make sure we have the right people there. Thank you.
Oh, that's fine. Yes, Clerk Scott.
May I ask Councillor Forgy a question?
Yes.
Yes.
Is the intention of inviting the assessors, RRG, and office staff to discuss a split tax rate?
Yes, I think it would be a foundational conversation around a split tax rate. And we're going to need, I believe we're going to need some advice and guidance on how we're going to be looking at all the different, again, we touched on this briefly when we were trying to set the tax rate, and it was 11th hour. And so I think it would be in everyone's best interest if we went back, did a foundational piece and a review of all of this. And just to get us started, to think about, there's just not one classification like a split or whatever. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So I would like them to help us understand the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Did we have anything else for the subcommittees? All right. So, Kathy, would you like to give your city clerk report?
So one good piece of news is the LEDRC did accept the re-precincting map. We are on to the, yes, we are on to the next steps. They are trying to put some block data together. I'll have to review a few other things. There will have to be publications before there yet, but we are on our way.
Great. Is that all you have on your?
That's it.
All right. All right, sounds good. So looking at the agenda for the next regular council meeting, which is going to be January 19th, we have the charter amendments, and then we have mayor's appointments, and I don't see reappointments. I think we could leave them in that order unless someone has a good reason to change it. Then first readings, appropriate 221,000. And then the zoning amendment. All right, so this is where I'm a little bit confused. So the notice of zoning amendment proposals, we're going to read this at the January meeting. Does that start the clock?
Do you want me to bring it in?
The clock started when it was received.
Okay.
I have a cheat sheet that I can easily send out to everyone if everyone is interested. But the clock starts when the zoning amendment is received. There are timelines that we need to meet. There is sufficient time because after the council has their first reading, this will be sent to EDC and the planning board. It will meet the timelines. We have a good amount of time. And then there are timelines for the public hearings. So there is, zoning doesn't need to be rushed, but there is a time clock associated with it. So there is plenty of time. But the clock started when the request for amendment was received.
Okay, I just want to make sure because especially with new counselors joining us this year, I want to make sure that we don't rush it. We do it properly and people feel comfortable with the process. And it's been a while since we've done one of those, and I feel like we talk about this every time, so I'm sorry it's a repetitive question.
That's all right. Sometimes repetitive is the only way to go.
Yeah. So, and that's all I see on the agenda. So I know they're dense topics, but there are very few topics.
Councilor DeSorbo, I think, had something.
Yes.
I just wanted to say on the zoning, what we've done in the past was alternate with planning board. I'm just saying this for the benefit of those who are listening. So I think we may have hosted the last one. Clerk Scott, I forget, but I'm pretty sure we did. So it will probably be on, we generally meet on Tuesdays, and I'm not thinking I'm going to be leading that charge as it goes on, but it probably will be on a Thursday on the night of the planning board's decision. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I think you're correct. We do alternate between planning board holding one, EDC holding another. Tammy and Eric go through that every single time. They look and see who held the last one, and then they focus on who held the next one. But I think you are correct. It would be more than likely on Thursday at a regular planning board meeting. It would be a joint meeting.
Vice President Quinn?
Two pieces. One is Clerk Scott, obviously, if we have additional appointments that we do to add those to the agenda in addition to the ones that are on the agenda as it appears now. And just to President Gilmore, as I was thinking this, A&O is a committee that you are going to have to do something with before our meeting, because we have two members that are no longer counselors and one member that's on medical leave.
So can I make an interim appointment? so that we have a quorum?
The hardest part, and I don't know the answer to that, we'll have to check. The hardest part is you and I are already on the committee, so we can't go as president and vice president because we're already on that committee. So
Right.
right now it's you and me and Chris. That's it. So
Right.
so I don't know if Clerk Scott knows the answer to that, but we are going to have an immediate issue even if we'll only have 4 of us, and that's if you obviously attend as past committee for this last January meeting. So it's very tight.
I was planning on attending, just like I was expecting other counselors to attend their subcommittees also.
Yeah, I just, if we don't see Counselor Jarvis by then, there'd only be 3 of us.
So Kathy, go ahead.
I have a thought in my mind, but I'd like to pass it by Parliamentarian Roberts first. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking, but I'm still going to check with him. I believe you could make an interim appointment for the month of January to the A&O committee, but I want to double check it with Parliamentarian Roberts. I don't see that temporary appointment would be a problem, but I just want to confirm. So I think it will be fine, but I'd like to confirm, and I can email you tomorrow.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor DeSorger?
Same thing for us. We have 2. It would be Counselor Elmer and myself, so for next Tuesday.
For next Tuesday?
Right. So just state.
I will ask for both if that's acceptable.
Thank you.
All right. So what is the process? If I'm going to appoint an interim counselor to a subcommittee, can I just make that decision unilaterally?
So what I think you should do, and this is what I'm going to check with Will, is you would send an email to Tammy, myself, Counselor Gwynn, saying for the month of January to fill the A&O and EDC appointments, I'm appointing these people to those committees for the month of January 2022 only. Being clear that it is a temporary appointment, and being clear which committee, whichever members are going to.
Okay. I will send you an email tomorrow. Once we are clear on that, I'll confirm and make sure that I can find someone who is available to attend and check in with folks and make a nomination then.
President Gilmore, also with EDC, as I'm not currently on EDC, I could aid in EDC to make the quorum if needed in that piece too.
Oh, that's true.
Because you and I in our roles.
Right, because A&O is the only one where we have that.
That you and I are already
concern.
there. You
Right.
and I both could be on EDC next meeting if we had to and make up that quorum with Chair DeSorger.
Yes, Councilor Mayo.
Same here. I could be the I could offer to be the interim appointment as well.
Oh, well, I appreciate you offering, but I think what what Vice President Gwynn was talking about is that either of us can sub in for a committee already just because we're the president and vice president, whereas with another counselor, we would have to do an interim appointment. But I do appreciate you offering.
Well, I'm just saying,
It's helpful.
we're not, CRE is not having a meeting anyway, so there would be no interference and it would leave me available.
Okay, great. I think other than that, I think we are all set here unless anybody has anything else that they wanted to bring up. Yes, Councilor DeSorger.
I I think we said last night, I didn't see this on the notes though, but we brought it up last night at the chairs meeting, how we're meeting. Is that going to be on that came up, Kathy Clerk Scott yesterday. And then I actually looked through the agenda today. I thought it was on and it wasn't. So I guess maybe under new business, if it's not on, so under new business or something, just bringing that up because it was like, well, what are we doing this month? I mean.
Yeah, new business.
Right. Clerk Scott and I talked about that earlier because we did think that it was going to be on the agenda for tonight. And then when Clerk Scott reviewed it, realized that when we discussed it last month, Councilor Ricketts put it on for February. So January, we're still meeting remotely, and then the full council is going to vote on how we're going to be meeting after that. But yes, that was my recollection also. But once Clerk Scott mentioned it to me, I remembered that we were concerned about juggling the subcommittees because there is going to be that transitional period where we have outgoing counselors and incoming counselors who have their training that they need to take care of. Bruno, Kathy, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I agree with everything you said, President Gilmore, that it was going to be on the, I think it was February committee chairs for the committee to discuss it, to maybe forward a recommendation or ask the council to vote at their February meeting whether they wanted to continue virtually or go back to a physical in-person meeting.
So, and then that, let's see. I think that concludes our agenda for January, correct?
I believe so.
Did anyone have anything else that they wanted to bring up under new business, that any oversights, any concerns? Yes?
I don't see anyone.
I'm sorry, I thought, Counselor DeSorry, did you start to raise your hand?
Well, I had one more thought of somebody else I might invite, but I'm going to actually talk to the Chief Strahan tomorrow. I just want to say out loud that that's a possibility. I can let you know tomorrow, Kathy, if that's all right, but I should say it out loud at a public meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, 4G.
I did, Gwen. Thanks. I think we're in harmony, Doug.
Are in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night. Thank you.
Time
Thank
All
you very
right.
much.
47.
Have a good evening.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Have a great night, everybody.
Take care.